Yes, granted. We're recording.
Okay. So I guess I'll just say who I'm talking to. So you guys are basically on the board of a company.
Okay.
Um, Same thing as I did last time. Obviously, actually, you're not going to be a grumpy, seasoned
No.
person this time.
Okay. Thank
um,
you.
but basically, it's just about leadership training, coaching, consulting, that
Okay.
kind of good stuff. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hey guys, how's it going?
So good. Hi,
Good.
Matt.
Good. Great. Well, last time we talked about, you know, uh, well, actually, we had a few different discussions ourselves. We were just talking about different areas of growth that you guys were looking to grow in and how that kind of centered around leadership. And so,
Hmm.
seemed like we were kind of a good fit for each other. And, I know we're kind of about to start everything off and kick all those things off. And so I just wanted to kind of touch base on kind of our baseline on how we start this whole process. And so today we're going to be covering the culture survey. We talked about that briefly, what that looks like, timeline, how it's supposed to roll out, those kind of good things, our objectives and confidentiality. Obviously, you guys, like anybody else, don't want to have your information sent out to other people. So we're definitely going to keep that confidential. Um, what's going to be done with the information and what we're looking for in research behind all this, because this is all stuff that's not my opinion. It is stuff that is based on actual science. Okay, so overview. So we're going to distribute these surveys via email or any other way that you guys would like to distribute it, but typically we like to do that through an online survey 2 weeks prior to the start of the engagement. Obviously, the engagement is going to be a few weeks long. We're going to be doing a lot of hands-on type stuff. I'm going to be coming in there. We're going to start every morning off with a motivational talk. We're going to be doing group work. We're going to be doing group coaching and individual coaching as well. But prior to that, we're going to do this survey to kind of get a good feel of where you guys are at as a culture, right? What's the feel of your company? How is everybody working together? Do they feel safe in this environment where they can actually have space to be able to be innovative and help you grow your company? The deadline is going to be 3 days prior to the engagement, and the only reason that we have that little 3 day buffer is basically just because um, me and my team need time to be able to process the information, to be able to kind of dial that in, see where you guys are at. So that whenever we do meet, we'll already have kind of a preliminary strategy in place on how we're going to get you guys to where you want to go based on the survey. So just a little bit of time in between there. Now, in case there's any kind of a delay, obviously we're dealing with people, right? And so sometimes we have things we have to get done. Obviously, the work that you're doing currently has to get done. And so um, if there's any kind of a delay, just reach out to me. Both of you have my email, my phone number. You can reach out to me personally and just let me know. And we'll get into more of like, what we're looking for in terms of the response rate. But don't feel like you can't send me what you do have by those 3 days prior. Make sense so far?
Mhm.
Great. Okay. Okay, so objectives and confidentiality. So ideally, we want to have a 90% response rate. Obviously, we're not going to have, I mean, you might have a 100% response rate. I've never seen that happen myself, but we obviously want to shoot for the 90 percentile. We can do with 80% because what we're really trying to do is kind of get an overall feel. So if we don't get responses from everybody, but we get 80% of the people, 80 to 90%, that still gives us a good overall feel of your company. And this survey is really focused on gauging your team's cohesiveness. How well are we working together? How
Hmm.
do we feel about working together? Do we feel like we can accomplish these goals together, or do we have to kind of do our own thing, silo ourselves, or give the boss a little nod and just kind of do our own thing, or do we feel like we can talk about the hard things? We're going to identify overall organizational trust. Again, that goes back to cohesiveness, right? Um, there has to be trust in an organization in order for it to thrive. Where trust breaks down, there's division. Where there's division, companies fall apart.
Yeah.
Um, So confidentiality, obviously this is all going to be anonymous. No one's going to put their name, rank, anything like that. You guys are a smaller company, so, you know, we don't want anybody to be singled out. Now we do have an optional waiver in place. So, and obviously you guys don't have to do this, but what I tend to try to do is I like to look at all the data from, you know, everyone that we work with and try to find patterns and things like that. It'll help us with further engagements to help us help others. And so one thing that you guys can help with that and helping other companies as well is other small businesses is by signing the waiver, allowing us to use that data. It won't expose the name of the company, anything like that that will identify you as a company. It's strictly for our own in-house data to help us improve our process. That's just an option for you guys. Now, as far as what we're doing with the information, again, this is just a starting point. This is a baseline. This is a gauge to help us as a starting point. We're going to have other things that we're going to be doing in terms of getting other information through various methods. That's where the group coaching comes in. That's where the group discussions come in amongst peers, the one-on-one coaching, consulting. All those data points are going to be considered, but this gives us a good baseline on where to start from. So we're not flying in blind, just saying, okay, because here's the issue, is if we go in with a standard boilerplate approach, that's not necessarily going to address your specific challenges that you're facing right now. And so what this does, it helps us speed up the process, right? When we know where you're at, that's going to help us dial this in and start from a place. It's a little bit more of a, you could call it kind of a bespoke or kind of customized approach to your company and what your needs are specifically. Again, you know, if you guys sign the waiver, we will use this information for research. If you don't want to do that, that's completely fine. There is absolutely no pressure to do that at all. And then again, there's another thing as well, testimonials. If you guys feel that this was successful, that we were able to deliver what you guys need to help you get where you wanted to go, your testimony will be very much appreciated. So what we're looking for in the survey, we are looking for a few different elements. So these are all elements that were researched over a decade with a guy with the neurosciences. His name Paul Zak, and he found a few elements of successful companies that all revolve around the idea of trust. If you want your company to grow, then, you know, and when I say grow, I don't just mean financially. Obviously, we all want that, right? But as human beings, we want to grow personally as well. We want to be in an environment where we get up in the morning and we're excited about going to work, right? We don't dread going in there, because if we go in there with a sour attitude because we hate this job, then that's not going to be good for anybody. So thriving companies have these particular characteristics, according to his research. They recognize, that's actually supposed to say they recognize achievement. So you're celebrating people's wins, okay? You're pointing that out to other people. Like, look how good Bob did in this. Look how good Ashley did at this particular thing, right? You're celebrating with them. You're inducing challenging stress, or challenge stress. So basically, with that, you're giving them stretch goals that are not going to be too overwhelming. You challenge them, helps them step up to the plate, and it helps them build their own confidence in seeing what they can do. You give them discretion on how they do their work. So you're going to allow them to, after you assign them a project, they're able to take it and use their own, if they feel comfortable, if they're well versed in the topic. Obviously, we don't want to do this with a new employee, but if they are well versed in their area, that they can use their own method to actually complete the project. Enable job crafting. So all that really is once, you know, projects are kind of out there, they're able to choose which ones they want to work on based on their area of expertise or their area of curiosity where they want to grow. We're able to share, so information is shared broadly. And again, these are all, just to kind of reiterate, these are all areas that we're looking for in the survey. So Information is shared broadly. So company information, the mission, the values, the goals, the stats, all those things, everyone knows what's going on with the company, right? They feel like they have a good grasp. So they feel like they're part of the company because they know what's going on. It's not just top down, need to know kind of stuff, right? I mean, I understand that in a very large corporation, but with you guys being a small business, I mean, it doesn't hurt for everyone to know what's going on. Obviously, discretion has to be used, just to caveat that. With some things, I totally understand that, but overall, they understand what's going on. There's relationships being built. How do your people feel as far as their coworkers? Do they feel like they're friends, or do they come in, put on a face, and go home, and then they're themselves again? Do they feel like these people are their friends? Does it feel like family? Like, are we in this together? Are you guys facilitating whole person growth? And I know this is a hard one, especially for a small business. I know that it is, because you have so many things that you're working on. You know, you're wearing multiple hats. You're trying to get the job done. But is there an emphasis on helping people grow, not just, professionally, but personally? And it doesn't have to look a certain way. It could be something as small as a book study, or just what's going on in their lives, and you're pouring into them and mentoring them, right? It doesn't have to be a full-on kind of a program.
Mhm.
And then also vulnerability. So you guys, as the ones who are running this company, are you being vulnerable with your people? Are you sharing the struggles that you have with your people? Do they know that you're not just some kind of a robot who does everything perfectly, but you're a human being who has cracks and flaws, and you need help too? You have areas of weakness as well. Where they feel like they can pour into you, so they feel like, man, like, I know this guy, I know Greg, I know Ashley, right?
Mhm.
Like, they've confided in me, so I feel like we're tight, right? So these are the areas that we're looking for. Now, the data behind this is pretty staggering, I gotta say. So companies that have these characteristics have these statistics behind them. So there's 74% less stress compared to people with high stress companies. There's 106% more energy at work, 50% higher productivity, 13% higher or fewer, sorry, not higher, fewer sick days, 76% more engagement, 29% more satisfaction in their lives for your employees. So this is actually pouring into their lives, and they're happier with their overall lives, and 40% less burnout. So I know you guys, like I said, wearing multiple hats, running this company. I am sure that you have either teetered on or felt the fatigue of burnout. But whenever you're in an environment like this, responsibilities are shared, burdens are shared, right? We're working together as a team. You're not just carrying this on your own two shoulders all the time. And so there's less burnout. Now, like we talked about before, I'm going to be pairing this with executive coaching for you. Again, the statistics are pretty definitive and pretty amazing. There's a 788% higher ROI overall for companies who have executive coaches involved or have executive coaching. And like I say, this is a pretty robust program. So again, we're going to be doing coaching, consulting, group coaching, discussions, live talks, all that kind of good stuff. And like I've talked about previously, you'll also have access to all the trainings online, lifetime access, you and all of your employees, to all the leadership training that we do have to offer as well. So with that said, do you guys have any questions?
$788% seems massive.
Yeah.
So help me with that.
Sure. So basically, a study was done that showed that people who, or executives who employed executive coaches to help them be better leaders, they became better leaders, and with that, their employees' productivity increased massively, Their employee retention increased massively as well. And so those two factors put together created a higher ROI for the company.
So what I'm hearing being an executive is if I spend $1, I'm going to make 788 more dollars.
That's the goal. But also, this is coaching, right? So this is a co-partnership. So you'll get out of it whatever you put into it. And so coaching is less on the consulting side and a little bit more on the like you have to take ownership, take action, and grow yourself personally, and that's what really makes the difference.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I think I'm a little confused on, so we're doing a culture survey.
Mhm.
And so once we get that data, and I can't move I was trying to like move your presentation. I'm like, oh wait, I can't move it because I don't control that. Then we're gonna couple it with executive coaching, or I'm so curious in like how those two things kind of come together.
Sure. Yeah. So the survey essentially is just kind of our baseline. That's it.
Okay.
That gives us a good picture, an overall picture of your company.
Okay.
What's the culture like? Because culture is a huge factor when it comes to your profitability and growth in the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that just kind of tied into the growth piece, right? So survey's baseline, executive coaching is additional growth.
Okay.
That makes sense? So we start with
Yes.
we start with the survey, give us the picture, and that's just part of the package as well.
Okay.
Yeah. My apologies. That's a little bit of a piece that was thrown there from the last one as well, kind of tying those two together.
Gotcha.
But yeah, last time we met. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Great.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys.
Feedback?
Yeah, feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so patient with my technological challenges
Sure.
and losing internet, being on my phone and popping back into the meeting. And again, just like Ashley, you were totally unflappable with that. I get that sales nature. Not that that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
but it's literally, hey guys, here's what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah,
show
you're
that you
super
show that
professional.
value right away.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so literally I just write you a check and go pick out the car I want. Right. It's
Yeah.
like I'm like kind of done. You just right. So and you're calm, straightforward, approachable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, without
Yeah.
being too in the face. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's some fact there, there's some basis. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're super professional. And I was like, look at all of these facts he has to give them, which is great. Because I think hard numbers, even when I think hard numbers speak, right? Especially when you're talking to really probably pretty pragmatic people. Having like, this is where I got this information. This is the data. And you clearly have a very clear plan of what you're going to do. My only feedback is, for the sake of this meeting, it feels almost like the first meeting in some ways.
Yeah.
Like it was just a lot of information.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's me having attention deficit problems, but like it's just a lot of information. So I was like, oh, some of this feels more like first meeting, like here's what we're doing, here's what my plan is, I hope you guys agree with me, because it kind of bled into that, and I think that's some of where my confusion came from. Because if it is purely about the culture survey, then let it be. That makes sense.
Oh, totally. Like, whenever you asked that question, I thought about that. I was like, yeah, I did kind of tie those two together, and I didn't think about that when I first put it together. And you're, like you said, focused solely on the culture survey, which was great. I think I was almost still selling the idea instead of coming from a place of, oh, they've already said yes. we've already said yes, contract
Yeah.
signed. Now we're moving from sales mode into like, okay, we're partners. This is the
Right.
next step,
Right.
you know? And so that's really good feedback. That's super helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah. As I think just that's just one of the what do they call those? Like the hazard of the day job, you know, like the being
Yeah.
it's used to being in sales and selling stuff.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Greg, anything else before I stop this recording?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
It's
great.
all good. Very impressed.
Cool.